Hello, faithful listeners. My name is Clay Thompson, and I'll be your guide in the fiction room. Today's prompt comes to us from username Scotty Fermati. You, a young scientist, have discovered time travel. You think it would be a great idea to go to medieval times, share your knowledge, and become king. On your first visit, you meet a king, and he introduces himself with a polite fist bump and greets, "Bro, you discovered time traveling too?" As always, I hope you'll enjoy listening to these stories as much as I'll enjoy reading them. But without further ado, let us begin with our first story. Written by Sinks. Bro? Leonard stood at the base of the platform, arms crossed in frustration. He couldn't believe it. This sappy-looking, scrawny twit of a teenager had discovered what had taken him years to figure out on his own. He had dedicated his entire life looking for a loophole in time travel to get around the requirements of FTL travel and proximity to a black hole, and this idiot had gotten there first. What was more, instead of using his knowledge to benefit all mankind, he had made himself king. King! How selfish can one person be? The king, on the other hand, beamed down on him. "Yeah, bruh," he said. "How'd you do it? It was easy for me. See, it turns out we're in, like, a simulation or something," he said. "I'm a little foggy on the details. Made the whole thing up while I was stoned. Still kind of stoned, actually. They got some wicked grass here, man. But it all just kind of came to me, you know?" "It just came to you?" Leonard asked. He shut his eyes, wishing he could forget everything he just heard. "It took me over a decade to figure this out." "At least you had the sense to dress the part." "You did dress the part, didn't you?" The monarch stared at him blankly. "No. At least, I don't think so. They didn't have jeans back then, did they?" No jeans," he said, smoothing out his tunic. "So where did you get the robes? Did the king just give them to you or something?" The boy grinned wider. "Yeah, man," he said, showing off the purple cloth. "He just sort of threw them at me the second I showed up. Was yelling something about a prophecy, but hey, I'm not going to complain. Free stuff. Hey, how much do you think this crown is worth?" "You should really have planned a bit better, if you were trying to go into the past," Leonard said. "You could have gotten yourself killed." "Hey, man, I didn't actually plan on anything," the teen said, frowning. "It just sort of happened. One moment I'm laying on my back looking at the universe through my third eye and stuff, and then the next, whoosh, there's this big purple portal and I land myself right in the middle of the courtyard, you know?" Leonard stared. "You mean to say you didn't actually do anything?" he asked. "Nah, man," the teen said. "In fact, I'm not 100% sure this whole place is real. But if it isn't, this is one heck of a trip, you know?" Leonard turned away, deep in thought. He too had seen the very same portal, though it had been where and when he had been expecting it. Though not exactly. If he was being honest, it had been a few seconds early. In truth, he would not have stepped through it at all, had it not grown suddenly and launched itself at him like the mouth of an enormous worm. At the time, he had chalked it up to a simple miscalculation. But now, he wasn't so sure. "If you didn't mean to come here," he asked the boy, "and if I was brought here against my will, what on earth was that portal?" "It was my doing," said another voice, sonorous and deep. From behind the throne walked a man, old, with a white beard and periwinkle blue eyes that seemed to pierce straight through Leonard's heart. He wore robes long enough to scrape the floor, a pointed hat, and an expression that was equal parts sorrow, and joy. "I am Merlin," said the man. "Leonard, Arthur, we have much work to do, and I pray that we might start now." Okay, so this is another nerd thing, but if you've never read Le Morte d'Arthur and the Once Future King, but read this one, definitely read the previous two that I mentioned, because it actually keeps in mind how Merlin perceives time. And now let's move on to our second story, written by Jude Underley. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? No, seriously, are you freaking kidding me? Do you know how long it took to discover time travel? Actually, don't answer that. I don't care. I'll answer for you. A long time. Like years. Like blood, sweat, and tears all coalescing into a single destined moment. 'Cause that's what it was, man. Destiny. There's no other way to explain it. Just the single greatest invention in the history of time that, by the way, rewrites the history of time. No biggie. Yet here before me, this putz stands on his throne, making his minstrels play Kanye West tunes, while I stand slack-jawed, unaware of how in the world he did it. His face is withered, with scars along the edge of his left cheek. It would look scary, but he covers most of his face with a thick beard. As far as royalty goes, he looks like he's had a hard fight for this throne. 'Cause that's the terrible thing about time travel. It's never certain. Like, did I invent time travel, and he's just from the future where I've sold a patent? Or did he invent time travel and decide to rule a kingdom? Oh God, I have a headache already. "How?" I finally mutter. "Same as you, Broseph. I travel through time." He smiles and brushes a long strand of gray hair out of his face. "But..." I start to stammer, but he cuts me off. "Bro, you want, like, taquitos? I gave them a recipe and you'll never believe how good they taste. Like all food, bro. We can cook up whatever you want and it'll be 10 million times better because it's not processed and everything. I've lost like 15 pounds from that alone. I call it the time traveler's diet. Patent pending." Actually, now that you mention patents, again, I get cut off quickly. "Hey, what about a chambermaid? They'll do anything you ask." I don't need that. Everyone needs that, my guy. Real talk, can't lie, the whole Black Plague thing is a bit of a crapshoot. They don't have great meds like we got back home. Every person here is basically a bacterial Russian roulette. Listen. I pause because I'm not sure what to call him. I extend my hand, looking for help. He graciously obliges and calls himself King Jesus. I almost say it out loud, but logic takes over and I settle for Your Highness. "Which century are you from exactly?" "Same as yours, bro." He smiles. "Okay, what century am I from?" I question him, trying to figure out his game. He just smiles. It's an odd smile. The kind you get when you've just said something witty and you can't contain your pride. That's when it clicks. No, 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 no. I find myself saying it out loud. But the king just laughs. Oh, this conversation is a lot more fun on this end. He slaps his knees. I always wondered when you'd show up. Or should I say, when I would show up. Things get fuzzy. Time, man. It's all circular, but don't worry, bro. You're gonna have a great time. Scary sometimes, but great. Trust me. As you, the older you. Trust me. You're going to run now. Hop in that machine and race to too many places to count. Too many times to track. But something will happen. And you'll be stranded. Then it's a waiting game. You'll wait decades for me. Going, I'll admit it, bro, a little mad. But great news, you definitely won't get the Black Plague for a couple decades yet. I really liked this. Very Back to the Future-y. And I kind of saw the twist coming, but I still enjoyed how it was delivered. So, props to you, sir or ma'am. Props to you. And now, dear listeners, we must unfortunately bid you farewell once again. Thank you all for tuning into the Fiction Room. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider liking, leaving a comment, and subscribing. It really does help. But for now, wherever you are in the world, be safe, be well, and we'll see you all next time.